Okay, we have another unboxing video. Vistaprint had a sale on some postcards, so when they do that, you have to order that when you can. So anyways, I've ordered some new postcards. I call them idea cards, and couldn't wait to see a couple of them as far as how they reproduced. You never really know until you get them back in, but as I've said in other videos, I'm pretty happy with the digital printing these days, and you know, the consistency as far as the quality goes. Okay, a lot of these happen to be idea cards or postcards on some of the kind of more recent videos that I've done of late. This one's the Green Nebula. Kind of a rare square format for me, but I know I need to do that more often. I need to stop working just solely in the quarter page kind of format, because there is something to be said for square formats, really elongated ones, you know, kind of either in the portrait or, you know, landscape format, but I don't know. I need to kind of play around with those things, you know, kind of the cinema type of format would be nice. Kind of, you know, something that you would kind of go see at the theater, excuse me. It's always fun to look through what you got, you know, in terms of kind of the process, the entire process. You know, if you do these scenes, you have to kind of scan them, and oh, I don't have to do too much color correction in Photoshop, but sometimes you have to do a little bit. But this one, I can't remember when I did this scene, but it was quite some time back, but it is another video. Well, actually I have it in the back. Video number 145. This Nebula one was video 184. So this one was kind of, when I got those new images in down here, the leafless pines, they provided kind of a nice foreground by having something in the foreground that's not so full. If I put those types of trees here in the foreground, then it would, you know, it would really block off a lot of the things that are going on in the midground, and perhaps in the background as well. But I don't know, not that you can't do that. I'll have to do that sometime, maybe have something really bright down here, and kind of maybe move into something that's, I don't know, I would probably close in this blue a little bit more just to create a little bit of separation if I had these same types of tones in these trees. Not these ones, but some more autumn trees in the foreground. I'd have to make that midground a little bit darker for those trees to stand out, but I don't know, that's a scene for another video. We'll have to do that. Going on to the next one, and it really does feel somewhat similar to back in the day when you used to, like I said, get in other videos, I said it's kind of like getting, you know, some old negatives and prints back, you know, and, you know, pre-digital photography. Okay, this one was a lot of fun right here for me. It's using a stamp from Viva Las Vegas Stamps. Check them out if you have a chance. Thousands and thousands and thousands of images, you know. You kind of have to mine through the different categories, but this one is video 181, and I don't know what the name of this one is. I just call them horseback riders, but there's all four of them in a row, and I think I have I might even have a link to it on my video going to that, you know, exact image from Viva, but I can't remember. I did find it somewhere. I might have put it in our email mailing list letters, but I did find it on there, but it took quite some time. But in the meantime, you can see all kinds of cool other imagery. Piece, this is the video number 201. It's on black cardstock. I think was it a Stardream cardstock? I can't remember now, but simple imagery, one stamp, and I used a little rub-on star in that one, and some Dr. Martin's bleed-proof white on the trees, and I think for those snowflakes. Or did I use a gel pen? I can't remember now. After I do these videos, I just, you know, when I move on, sometimes it seems like I did them so long ago, because I just kind of go on to the next scene and, you know, kind of move on. Although some of these scenes, you know, that I've done recently really deserve kind of a further inspection, you know, in terms of the techniques. This is the one that I really wanted to, I was really anxious to get back in terms of, you know, an idea card format. This one's video 179, A Walk in the Grove, and it's using some of the trees, more recent trees here, and kind of putting them in this little row right here. And I like kind of what's going on in this path down here in terms of the textures and tones that were applied to it, and just how it kind of came out. But this one, that scene was, well, I don't know. I really liked the way it turned out. It meant a lot to me. Okay. I'm wondering if I did any reorders, or if all of these are new scenes, new idea cards at least. Yeah, this one was a real simple, what I called split fountain scene. Just basically built around the lakeside cove and the reeds down here, but just putting in these nice transitions down here. In retrospect, I probably would have added a little bit more tone to these rocks, just so it isn't just a direct kind of a color scheme as what's going on in the background. I would do all the background first, like I did, but I'd probably add a little bit more tone on here, which I could still do on the original. But that is video number 180. Oh, stamp along number 10. So the stamp alongs, I purposely try to keep those a little bit more simple, you know, for someone to follow, especially if they're new to either scenic stamping or the techniques. Okay. They really pack these nice and tightly now, instead of getting a box with all these postcards all scattered about. Video number 204, Red Skies. Really fun one, just adding in just layers and layers and layers of that deep, rich tone in the background. But even on the the idea cards, you can kind of see a little bit of the subtlety kind of in the background like that. As far as the depth and range of kind of subtle tones that you can do with dye-based inks, because they're transparent inks. Very simple composition, a couple impressions with the Spooky Branch, and adding on a little bit of the Dr. Martin's Bleed Proof White with a paintbrush on some of those tree limbs there, just to make them seem a little bit more dimensional, you know, by having that little bit of white highlight on various branches. Okay, let's take a look here. Kind of forgot I had so many new videos and scenes. Okay, this one's a reorder. Just using the, basically built around that stone wall there. And little old man dog in the distance there, but a lot of textures and things going on in the grass. I mean, this wall is really the dominant feature in this scene right here, and it's kind of about that, but for me, in terms of a technique and the creation of this scene, well, it's about a lot of the shading in here done with the alcohol pens. You know, hitting some of these little areas, really trying to create volumes within the shapes and formations, but getting all this little kind of nice little touches in here to contrast against this dark wall, you know, without, well, you know, there's a lot of different variations in here, but they're very subtle. But putting these little wildflowers down here in the grassy area really kind of animates that area, and I don't know, kind of adds a lot more visual interest in my opinion. than just, say, using green for grass. And that's the fun for me, is adding in those little details that kind of just make your scene come alive a little bit more with each little detail that you add in there. And these details are all easy to do, you know, so it takes a little bit more time, but, you know, not a lot of time, and the results can be quite large. Okay, ordered more of those ones than the other ones because I really like that scene and I wanted to get that one out to everyone. And, I don't know, for some reason they sent another box. It's probably, sometimes they do, they gang print, you know, with other clients, you know, these big, huge printing companies. Oh, these are a bunch of smaller ones, so those ones I probably ordered a different quantity of, and they gang those up on one master plate, and the smaller ones they ganged up with other client orders or my own. They probably print out 100 different postcards all at once on one big master panel. So it's running through a printing machine, and then what they do is they cut them up afterwards. But being able to just gang print these things saves printing companies a lot of money. Okay, I'm guessing these ones are all reorders. No, that one's not a reorder. This one's the graphite example, and that one's video number 103. And that's just using, you know, stamping out a composition on matte paper this time, because you can't really do graphite, you know, pencil work on glossy paper. It just won't stick. So you have to have a paper with a little bit of tooth to it. But just, I don't know, it's a different feel and different experience, you know, when you use different media. And it's a lot of fun to kind of play around with different media, different looks, and resulting in completely different feels. So you can use the same stamps for a completely different composition, you know, in other words. You know, structurally the same, finish vastly different. This one's a reorder. This one's not... I did a similar composition to this one. Color schemes and everything like that. It's a different composition, but I did that for another video. But not this one. This one was done years ago. I don't know if I have a date on here. 2005, so... Wow, that's a really long time ago. Okay, let's see here. Okay. This one's originally a half-page sheet, so it is 5.5 by 8.5. But I've shrunk it down to this size of postcard just because these smaller postcards are a lot less expensive when you're buying these things. But this comes from video number 141, Manzanita Mist. This is one of those when I started off with an initial concept, but by the time the final result rolled around, it looked kind of, well, not kind of, but quite a bit different than the kind of the notion I had in my head. But hey, you know, as I always say in my videos, sometimes you just have to kind of roll with it, and at some point in time, you know, midway through, the scene will kind of direct you in the direction that it kind of wants to go in, you know, and it might be quite a ways away from your original concept in your head, but it's important to just kind of remain flexible, otherwise you're kind of fighting a composition at some point in some time, and it's easier just to go with the flow and kind of go in the direction that the scene wants to go in. Oh, and this is just a reorder right here. I don't know, it's kind of early to start thinking about it in some ways, but I don't know, you know, get those Christmas or holiday cards done, the winter cards done, and I see people are starting to do that because I see this stamp being ordered here, and here it is in July, late July, so I guess it's never too early to start kind of thinking about that, just like Costco, right? This video is number 20 on the video channel, so snowy covered bridge scene. Anyways, those are some of the latest idea cards. We'll be sending those out with all the orders, giving people hopefully some ideas to kind of toss around in terms of compositions, how to use certain stamps, and you know, different media and finishing techniques. So if you ever have any requests for any types of videos or any types of imagery, and specifically, just write a note in the comment section and I'll try to get around to it, okay? Anyways, thanks for watching, and hope you enjoyed the cards and this unboxing video. It was fun for me.